The concept of estates is primarily related to the system of social stratification. A system of social stratification characterized by control of land by a small elite group and peasants work the land to the benefit of the landowners. Who is the writer of the book Annihilation of Caste? B.R. Ambedkar. In the book, Ambedkar criticized the Hindu religion, its caste system and its religious texts which are male-dominant and spreading hatred and suppression of female interests. Justice is the first virtue of a good society. Who said this? John Rawls. John Rawls in his celebrated work A Theory of Justice has pointed out that a good society is characterized by a number of virtues. Justice is the first virtue of a good society. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted by the General Assembly of the UNO on December 10, 1948. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted by the UN General Assembly on December 10, 1948, was the result of the experience of the Second World War. The shadow cabinet is formed by the opposition party. The shadow cabinet or shadow ministry is a feature of the Westminster system of government. It consists of a senior group of opposition spokespeople, who has defined democracy as government of the people, by the people, for the people. Abraham Lincoln. The words of Abraham Lincoln to recall the soldiers who sacrificed their life for the government of the people. By the people, for the people, shall nor perish from the world were spoken in Gettysburg, but these words also apply to the countless soldiers who dies for the sake of democracy in the next 150 years. Who among the following has given first the systematic classification of government? None of them. Aristotle made one of the earliest attempts to classify government structures. He distinguished between states ruled by one person, by the few and the many, monarchy, aristocracy, and mixed government. Which part of the Constitution of India deals with the fundamental rights of the citizens of India? Part 3. Indian Constitution has divided into 22 parts and fundamental rights are enshrined in Part 3 of the Constitution from Article 12 to 35. These are guaranteed in the Constitution in the form of 6 different categories of fundamental rights. The guardian of the Indian Constitution is the Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court of India is the guardian of the Indian Constitution. Came into existence on January 26, 1950, the Supreme Court of India is the apex judicial body that acts as the interpreter and guardian of the Constitution. In Indian Constitution the rights to equality is specially granted by 5 articles. They are Article 14 to Article 18. Right to equality, Articles 14 to 18. The right to equality provides for the equal treatment of everyone before the law, prevents discrimination on various grounds, treats everybody as equals in matters of public employment, and abolishes untouchability, and titles, such as Sir, Rai Bahadur, etc. The members of the Council of Ministers in India are collectively responsible to the House of the People. The Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha, the House of the People.
Who appoints the Chief Election Commissioner of India? The President of India. The President. Under Article 324(2) of the Constitution of India, the President of India is empowered to appoint the Chief Election Commissioner and the Election Commissioners. Which one of the following articles deals with the appointment of governor of the state in Article 155? From the above, it is clear that Article 155 deals with the appointment of the governor of a state in India. Which part of the Indian Constitution deals with the directive principles of state policy? Part 4. Articles 36 to 51 under Part 4 of the Indian Constitution deal with Directive Principles of State Policy, DPSP. Out of the total elected seats in TADC, the reserved seats for scheduled tribes are 25. Out of 28 elected seats, 25 are reserved for scheduled tribes. Primary schools, dispensaries, markets, ferries, fisheries, roads, road transport and waterways in the respective autonomous districts.
Social studies curriculum should reflect need of students. The curriculum of social sciences should emphasize the interdependence between social phenomena and scientific disciplines. This holistic approach helps students understand the complex relationships between social structures, human behavior, and scientific principles. From social and cultural point of view, NCF, 2005, stresses on both A and B. Teaching of social studies aims at development of knowledge. The Education Commission, 1964-66, pointed out that the aim of teaching social studies is to help students acquire a knowledge of their own environment, an understanding of human relationships and certain attitudes and values which are vital for intelligent participation in the affairs of the community, the state, the nation, the world. In which approach of social studies, comparison, and contrast are used. Correlational approach. Correlational studies are contrasted with experimental studies. While correlational studies do not manipulate variables and only examine their relationships in a passive way, experimental studies deliberately alter variables to understand their relationships. Both kinds of studies are valuable in different contexts. Every teaching unit must emphasize on teacher-student cooperation. Project method should be pupil-centered. The pupil-centered method, also known as student-centered learning, SCL, or learner-centered teaching, is a teaching method that gives students more control over their learning. An instructional plan in social studies should aim at development of knowledge, skill, attitude, values and social participation etc. Learning by doing is principle of which method? None of the above. Work education is based on the principle of learning by doing. Work education is a comprehensive term, it includes professional skill development, practical work, knowledge through senses, etc. Specific of general is principle of method. Inductive. Inductive approach is based on the process of induction. It is a method of constructing a formula with the help of a sufficient number of concrete examples. Which of the following can be treated as a secondary source in social science research? The Constitution of India. CCE stands for Continuous and Comprehensive Evaluation. The Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, in India introduced the Continuous and Comprehensive Evaluation, CCE, exam as part of their assessment system. It places a strong emphasis on assessing students all through the academic year as opposed to just using final exams. The goal of teaching is desirable change in behavior. The ultimate goal of teaching is to impart learning. Students' desire to learn is vital to mastering new concepts, principles, and skills. The goal of teaching is to make a desirable change in behavior. Teaching is purposeful and goal-directed, which ends at desired changes of learners' behavior. Teacher performs practically and explain in demonstration method. In the demonstration method, the teacher performs a task or experiment to illustrate a concept or process while explaining it to the students. The demonstration method is often used in science and technical subjects where hands-on learning and visual demonstrations are beneficial for understanding complex concepts. The role of a teacher in organizing the co-curricular activities is facilitator. As a facilitator, the teacher's job is to support every student to do their best thinking and practice. As a facilitator, the teacher encourages the full participation of students, promotes mutual understanding, and cultivates shared responsibility among students. Which type of evaluation does include input and process? Formative evaluation. Formative evaluation is a process of gathering and analyzing feedback during the development or implementation of a program, project, or product. Which one of the following is not a branch of geography? Biomorphology. Biomorphology is the study of the physical, biological, and chemical aspects of an ecosystem. It involves studying the relationships between physical and biochemical cycles, such as nutrient and hydrologic cycles, and the importance of these cycles in the ecosystem. The only satellite of the Earth is Moon. The Moon is an astronomical body that orbits planet Earth and is Earth's only permanent natural satellite. The core was discovered by R.D. Oldham. In which rock, traps, is formed? Basalt. Trap is also used to refer to flood, plateau, basalts, such as the Deccan traps and Siberian traps. The erosion of trap rock created by the stacking of successive lava flows often creates a distinct stair-step landscape from which the term trap was derived from the Swedish word trappa, which means stairs. When carbon dioxide dissolved in water, forms a weak acid called carbonic acid. Carbonic acid is a type of weak acid formed from the dissolving of carbon dioxide in water. The chemical formula of carbonic acid is H2CO3. Plucking process is related to glacier. As glaciers flow over bedrock, they soften and lift blocks of rock into the ice. This process, called plucking, is caused by subglacial water that penetrates fractures in the bedrock and subsequently freezes and expands. Dams are dune lakes. In desert region of Rajasthan, low land between sand dunes allows water to collect and form lakes. Such lakes in local language in Rajasthan is called Dand and Sur, Talai. The tropical evergreen forests in Tripura are none of the above. The forests in the state are mainly tropical evergreen, semi-evergreen, and moist deciduous. Sizable area is covered with bamboo breaks. Badland topography is found in the Malva Plateau. Geologically, the Malva Plateau generally refers to the volcanic upland north of the Vindhya Range. Politically and administratively, it is also synonymous with the former state of Madhya Bharat, which was later merged with Madhya Pradesh. The H1N1 influenza of 2009 was a /n pandemic. The H1N1 flu, sometimes called swine flu, is a type of influenza A virus. During the 2009-10 flu season, a new H1N1 virus began causing illness in humans. It was often called swine flu and was a new combination of influenza viruses that infect pigs, birds and humans. The automobile city of India is Chennai. Chennai is known as the Detroit of India because it is home to a large number of automobile manufacturing companies. Some of the major automobile companies in Chennai include Hyundai, Ford, BMW, and Renault-Nissan. In Egypt, cotton is a cash crop. Egypt's major agricultural exports to the world are potatoes, cotton, and fresh fruit, primarily citrus. Most of Egypt's exports are destined for the EU, Russia, North Africa, and the Middle East. Chinook is local wind. Chinook is the warm and dry local wind blowing on the leeward side or eastern side of the Rockies, prairies. Chinook is more common in winter and early spring from Colorado to British Columbia in Canada. Bar and spit are formed by marine deposition. When the gently sloping sedimentary coast gets hit by waves, the sediments at the bottom get churned, thereby helping to build spits, lagoons, and barrier bars. Which one of the following is not an effect of ozone depletion? Cyclone. Ozone depletion can cause increased amounts of UV radiation to reach the Earth, which can lead to more cases of skin cancer, cataracts, and impaired immune systems. Which civilization developed on the bank of the River Nile? Egypt. Ancient Egypt was a civilization of ancient northeast Africa. It was concentrated along the lower reaches of the Nile River, situated within the contemporary territory of modern-day Egypt. Who among the following Vedic gods was also known as the destroyer of forts? Indra's. Indra is mentioned as son of Dyaush. He is considered as the rain god, responsible for causing rain. He is also called as Purandhara, breaker of forts. Magavan, bounteous, and Vritrahanta, slayer of Vritra, chaos. Which one of the following places was not associated with Buddha's life? Avanti. The kingdoms of Avanti and Magadha were not directly related to the life of Buddha. Instead, Magadha is closely related with Mahavira. Ashoka had established relations with which of the following distant lands? None of the above. Ashoka used the establishment of several rock edicts not only over all his kingdoms but also on the many nations and regions. These regions cater to Thailand, Greece, China, and as well as Sri Lanka. Which of the following is not correctly matched? Amarsinya Panchatantra. Amarasima, IAST, Amarasiha, CE 375, was a Sanskrit grammarian and poet from ancient India. Of whose personal history hardly anything is known, the Panchatantra is an ancient Indian collection of interrelated animal fables in Sanskrit verse and prose, arranged within a frame story. The architectural skills of which dynasty is evident in the Kailasnath temple at Kanchi? The Pallavas. The Kailasanatha temple at Kanchipuram was constructed by Narasimhavarman of Pallava dynasty. Narasimhavarman was also known as Rajasimha. Narasimhavarman also constructed the Shore temple at Mahabalipuram, whose invasion in 1398–99 expedited the decline of the Delhi Sultanate. Timur. The power of the Delhi Sultanate in North India was shattered by the invasion, 1398–99, of Turkic conqueror Timur, Tamerlane, who sacked Delhi itself. Between whom was the Battle of Chausa fought? Sher Shah Suri Humayun. The Battle of Chausa took place between Mughal Emperor Humayun and Sher Shah Suri on June 26, 1539. Sher Shah Suri defeated the Mughal Emperor Humayun and assumed the royal title of Farid al-Din Sher Shah, who established the Bhagavati Vidyalaya in 1890. Iswar Chandra Vijayasagar. Pandit Iswar Chandra Vijayasagar founded this school and named it for his mother, Bhagavati Devi. 1853, first establishment, 1890, re-establishment. Who was the author of Nil Darpan? Dinabandhu Mitra. Nil Darpan, The Indigo Mirror, is a Bengali language play written by Dinabandhu Mitra in 1858–1859. Which incident led to Gandhiji's withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement? None of the above. Reasons for withdrawal. Mahatma Gandhi called off the non-cooperation movement after the violent incident at Chauri Chaura in February 1922, where a mob set a police station on fire, resulting in the death of 22 policemen, who took over as the Commander-in-Chief on Indian National Army in August 1943. Subhas Chandra Bose. It was revived under the leadership of Subhas Chandra Bose after his arrival in Southeast Asia in 1943. When was the Constitution of India adopted? November 26, 1949. It was adopted by the Constituent Assembly of India on November 26, 1949 and became effective on January 26, 1950. The Constitution replaced the Government of India Act 1935 as the country's fundamental governing document. And the Dominion of India became the Republic of India, which puja is celebrated in the Temple of 14 Gods in Tripura. Karchi Puja. Karchi Puja is a major Hindu festival celebrated in Tripura, India, in the month of July. It is dedicated to the worship of 14 gods, collectively known as the Chaturdasha Devta. The week-long festival involves ritual bathing of the gods, followed by offerings and prayer. Which of the tribes in Tripura celebrate the Biju festival? Chakma. Biju, a colorful festival, is celebrated by the Chakma community for 3 days, marking the dawn of a new year for them. The festival is also celebrated by 7 other ethnic groups in Tripura: Marma, Tangchangia, Tripuris, Mro, Kumi, Kayang and Chuk.